It's Parody Week. You can find today's track and all of our greatest hits from over the years by subscribing to the podcast on Spotify, Apple, Android, and all other major platforms before they ban us. Your lipstick is colored, don't bother a lot. I know exactly what goes on.
Some people did something.
I will just say I have no interest in commenting about my personal life.
And will you tell all your friends Omar married her sibling? This song was super necessary. This song was super necessary. And will you tell all your friends Elon married her sibling? This song was super necessary. This song was super necessary. Let's go. Trying to explain it to me. I know exactly what goes on with your bro. How about I'm here fact checking your stuff? How about I'm here fact checking your stuff? So mess up there to keep the details covered. To get a visa, you smacked your brother. And will you tell all your friends Omar married her sibling? This song was super necessary. This song was super necessary.
Why are you dodging these questions?
These are stupid questions. You understand what no comment means?
Just in case you claim the song's misinformation, here's a pic of the marriage certificate. Yeah, no one ever asked and you will never tell, though we know the truth is that you honeymoon with your bro. Just in case you claim the song's misinformation, here's a pic of the marriage certificate. Yeah, Snoop will never ask and you will never tell them. We have all the receipts that show you shared the same name. Just in case you claim the song's misinformation, here's a pic of the marriage certificate. Yeah, no one ever asked and you will never tell them. We know the truth is that you honeymoon with your bro. And all of this is super gross. And all of this, you two wed and consummated unholy matrimony. Only thing worse than Hezbollah is terroristic incest. You two wed and consummated unholy matrimony. Your grandkids will look like they're from the movie You two wed and consummated unholy matrimony. Your grandkids will look like they're from the movie There you go. It's been a bit of a crazy morning here. I know we said that we were going to have the Nancy Pelosi parody today, the She's So High parody, but we had problems with the track. So there you go. Even if it's not your style, if you're not, hey, you know what? Comment below. Are you from that generation? Did you do the Hot Topic? Were you a Screamo kid? Taking Back Sunday is one of the few sort of bands back then with musical integrity. Even if it's not your style, it's a very, very difficult song to do.
Subject matter included.
You know whose style it isn't? But I couldn't think of a better song to drive home that Ilhan Omar had sex with her biological brother.
Reference is available at loudoscreener.com. And
The certificate was also available in the video.
think of how bizarre this is, where our job involves doing a parody of Taking Back Sunday about Ilhan Omar marrying her biological brother. And just because we know that we'll end up on the nightly news for inaccuracy, we have to show Ilhan Omar's marriage certificate with her biological brother.
So don't doubt it.
Actually, I think he's a half-brother, to be clear. I don't want to misspeak. He's a half-brother. So,
So you're saying just blood?
well, on the wedding night.
Won't pee blue yet. Yes.
It's gross. These people are ruling your country. AOC has eyes that you could buy at Michael's. And then you have Ilhan Omar with her brother. And this guy can't
I won them at Dave & Buster's.
I want a zip plane. All right. We have a lot to talk about today. Jordan Peterson, actually. I mean, you know what? Let's ask our booker, see if we can get him on the show here. I know he's pretty busy, but he's a friend of mine. And, of course, you've seen mainstream Hollywood attack him. Olivia Wilde, who's one of the worst people in the world. And I think it's a perfect dynamic to see the mislabeling that takes place at the hands of mainstream media. And thank God someone like Jordan Peterson and we have a platform we can fight back. So we'll be talking about that, where he was praised as, or not praised, he was vilified as the incel king. Olivia Wilde said that he was praised by incels. Hint, that's not true. She's also the example, Olivia Wilde, of a toxic woman. And Jordan Peterson also has been at the forefront of speech laws. And I don't know if you know this, but an Irish teacher was arrested because of using the wrong pronouns. And let me be really clear here. This is something I've been warning against for a long time, not only being from Canada, and not only in the academic realm, like Jordan Peterson, Dr. Jordan Peterson warned about with Bill C-16, but we've seen it happen in Canada with comedy. We've seen it happen with bands. And the only thing standing between you and that happening here in the United States is the Constitution and the First Amendment. And the question I want to ask today of you is not, and I think we ask ourselves the wrong question, well, what is the left doing? What is the right doing? No, it's what would the current Democratic Party do if left unfettered? Do you think they'd have European-type speech laws? Do you think they'd rather us be more like Canada or more like the United States? Well, they've told you. They've told you if ex-president won, they were moving to Canada. Take your pick of the Republican that year. So let's look at what that actually means. I think a lot of people miss it. It's not what are they doing now, what would they be doing if they had absolute power? And then outside of Donald Trump, I would also like to know, who do you think is the most hated figure on the left? I think maybe it could be Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, by the left, you mean? Yeah. Most hated figure by the
left. Well, hated on the left, meaning they have their little hate group.
Yes.
I think Trump is the Trump
DeSantis,
card.
Well, yes. Maybe DeSantis. DeSantis.
Katie Lake is moving up the chain.
I'd love to toss my hat in the ring.
In fairness, yes.
Yes.
That's a fair point.
And by that, I mean a little liberal midget named Hat.
Yes.
How's your war going?
Yes.
Still good?
Henry Arthur
It's the war,
Treacher.
yeah.
Have you gotten aid from other countries yet? Foreign aid? No?
No, we've gotten AIDS from New York City. Yeah,
Yes.
monkeypox.
Yes.
So
The
you,
new AIDS.
You hear him, you love him. Gerald, how are you, sir?
I am well. How are you?
I'm okay. Yeah, it's just a busy morning.
A little
And-
busy morning. You said something messed you up in that video. Do you want to...
What?
The movie.
What? Oh, no. Let's talk about the Deliverance. Yes.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that on
Okay,
Mug Club
all right.
today. By the way, you can subscribe. We're going to do a full other hour and read things Tom likes on Mug Club, which is something that's actually being... You know what? It's gross, and they want kids to read it, and we literally have to blur out penises.
It's true.
And not a biological textbook.
No.
A kid servicing his penis.
And it seems rather large.
And we can't... Yes,
average.
I know that. I figured you would think that. And the fastest man, the quickest wit in the West, the fastest man in his feet, he and I will be in Houston September 17th at the Smart Financial Center. I guess in Sugar Land, it's technically not, but it's right near
Yeah,
Houston.
right
Dave
there.
Landau, how are you?
Ahoy, good. How about you, man?
morning.
Oh,
Yeah.
we got my little thing here.
Yeah, I do have
I got Joe Lewis on.
Ooh,
Yeah,
big fan of the Joe Lewis.
Arena.
And by the way, for people out there, sorry, so many announcements. West Virginia, Charleston, we let you know that it was canceled October 8th due to family obligations, conflicts that I couldn't fix scheduling-wise. But if you send your ticket stub, you'll get a refund. 50 of you, if you send it to tips@loudoscreener.com, we're actually sending 50 people to Houston
Do it now.
from West Virginia.
Because we have to announce that.
Okay, let's move on from this. First thing is it's time to go to New York State of Crime. You I love hip hop, but I also realize how stupid they must feel when they're doing their stabs. If you listen to that,
Yeah.
he's just sitting there and he's listening. That boy good.
Yeah.
Sort of like I guess the white equivalent is Tim McGraw, where he made like $5 million. You ever see that song with Nelly where it's all in my head, but he's just sitting there. I can't go on not loving you.
Yeah.
Just wait another minute.
Well, basically,
Let's do another take, Tim.
Nate Dogg made everything better by doing that, and then everybody just can't do that.
Right.
Like Warren G doesn't exist without Nate Dogg.
Yeah.
And then Tim McGraw just shouldn't exist.
Well,
Just period.
I hope that he lives like he was dying.
Yes, I do.
Now, imagine that. I wish we had that track of Jay-Z. I wish we had that track of Jay-Z, just the stab track where he's like, all right, I got it. And he's, ha, ha, ha. Yeah. That boy good. Tribeca.
Yeah.
Oh.
What is he, David Dow now?
Local bodega.
Yeah.
Taxi cabs.
Yeah.
Sandwiches. What are you
say
talking about?
10 words, you get $1 million per word.
What is it? Game show taxi?
Cash cab. with
That
Ben
comedian's
Bailey.
really Ben. What's his name?
Ben Bailey.
He's great.
He's really funny.
He's really funny. Mean.
Yeah. Yes.
Mean. If you see him in roast, you're like, oh my god. Yeah, I'm a big Ben Bailey fan.
Michael Malice got in Cash Cab once, and I really want to see that. So did Artie Lang.
Oh, all right. I can imagine how that went. Hey, you got camera? Come on, turn the cameras off. I don't want you to bust my balls here. It's just cash cab. All right. Let's. Sorry. Today's a weird day. Life is now imitating art in New York City. As a bunch of hoodlums in New York, this is New York City, and I warn you, it could be disturbing to many of you. No one gets killed, so it's hilarious. This is crime in New York City, state of crime, Grand Theft Auto edition, in broad daylight.
I like how casual this guy is walking.
He's just
like,
completely
whatever.
Watch,
unfazed.
it's like bumper cars. He's chasing him down.
He didn't move until he thought the car might come on the sidewalk.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, whatever.
Otherwise, it's just Tuesday.
Yeah.
I would have assumed that right about the
Yeah.
beginning of the chase that he had a gun.
I do love that he planned it with what looks like, is that a Honda Accord?
Yeah.
What, just going to be some super expensive car that, no, it looks like he picked a beater and he was like, yeah, I'm going to use this as a ramming car.
Yeah. He's got a Mercedes versus, I think it's, Honda CRV.
Yes.
It's like, one of those is going to win
That's
that
an
race.
SUV.
Yeah.
You're going to get fact checked on that.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
sorry.
Admonish him. Admonish him.
Admonish?
The CRV is a crossover. This
I'm
man
sorry.
needs to learn his automobile.
Was that a car?
That was a car. It was not an SUV.
I thought it was a
looks like a
crossover.
SUV.
I thought it was an SUV.
Hey, by the way, at the end of all that, the happy endings of the guy who jumped into the black. Oh, I guess it was a Mercedes.
Well, the Mercedes was the hit car. Yeah.
It was? It looked
was
like
a
a
black
Honda
car.
to me.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I don't know. The point is he made off with $20,000 in cash. So not a bad day of work there in New York City.
That's $70,000 in vehicle damage.
Yeah, so he
That's
just
a really
He
bad
gets back. He's
investment.
like, oh, I only got liability? Motherfucker.
That guy came out of nowhere twice.
Why did he have 20 grand in cash, or is that just what he said he took?
Yeah, this is the mob. Come on.
Yeah, what happened? Oh, I had 20 grand in cash. That's what he. Yeah, I took it all.
Why is there a whole like neatly empty section in this duffel bag next to the 20,000? I don't know. I ain't seen it.
It's weird. Oh man.
You said the limit was 20 grand.
Yep. Well, anyway, the good news is they'll catch him and then they'll release him because that's what happens in New York City. This has been Empire State of Crime. That stinger still makes me laugh.
I didn't even hear the snap track thing before you said it. I was like, that boy good.
Oh, yeah.
I feel bad for anybody that owns a bodega.
Yeah, in New York City.
Yeah.
Especially if they're Asian.
Well, yeah, 'cause you just show up and you're like, so it's robbed?
Yes.
Ah, yes.
It's like the movie Crash. They're like, they told you to change the lock.
Yeah. It's all like regarding Henry.
Yeah.
Wait. No, it's true. Remember when the Asians, the Stop Asian Hate?
Yeah.
Remember when the Asians were used as pawns by the left?
Oh.
Where are they now? Still happening in New York.
Always.
Still happening in the Bay Area.
I thought they were used to slow down trains.
Well, as a matter of speaking.
I was going to miss the train.
Who is that? Oh. Correct. Now, Jennifer Lawrence. There's a lot we need to get into here. Jennifer Lawrence has been having these nightmares of Tucker Carlson.
Sad.
It's funny because I've had nightmares of Jennifer Lawrence's pictures on the cloud. But she has been having nightmares about Tucker Carlson. She's now deciding to go full left wing, which, she was beloved by middle America, specifically for staying out of politics or being a moderate. And that'll tie into Olivia Wilde attacking Jordan Peterson. Think about this. You have a film with Harry Styles, Olivia Wilde, the worst human being that I can think of, who's not like a terrorist. She didn't kill 6 million Jews. I mean, she's bad.
Yeah.
Okay, there was a little bit of hyperbole there. I don't like Olivia Wilde. I think she's a bad person.
There you go.
But then attacking Jordan Peterson. Think of a film. We have Chris Pine. You have Olivia Wilde. You have Harry Styles. You have the other people. And they are using this platform to attack Jordan Peterson, who has dedicated his life largely to serving others. And sure, he has a platform now. But this is an incredibly respected and I would argue selfless person in comparison to Olivia Wilde. Olivia Wilde, what she does is only self-serving. Jordan Peterson has been cited thousands upon thousands of times.
Yeah.
Jordan Peterson has helped count, including myself. Anyways, let's start with Jennifer Lawrence. Okay, my question to you is, who do you think is more likely to actually give Jennifer Lawrence nightmares? And I find it odd that it's Tucker Carlson. Wouldn't you have guessed like Harvey Weinstein's casting couch? I don't know.
That'd be my assumption.
Comment below and hit the like button, by the way, if you can, because that helps with the algorithms. We found that out recently with YouTube. They're shadow banning. It brings us to Jennifer Lawrence's version of Entertainment Minute. All right. Marley was dead to begin with. To set it up, I think I already told you. Jennifer Lawrence said, what are you looking at, Tool Man? He keeps looking up. Is something falling through the ceiling?
You were pointing up.
Is there going to be Propeller Man coming in here?
Yeah, you were pointing.
You did point up.
Oh, I did?
Yeah.
Well, I was just calling my shot. I was saying, Jennifer Lawrence.
Oh yeah, the bitch.
And there's a Sit.
Go ahead, Dave, take it.
No, I'm just saying this little boy in a hospital somewhere that's like, swing away, Crowder.
Yeah. Swing away. See, swing away. Who'd have thought the planet that's 70% water could get you wet, aliens? Thanks, Shyamalan. Now.
Wow, we studied the dry parts.
What'd you do? Did you come down and only look at the Serengeti?
This looks
You
like
just
our
hit
place.
the Sahara?
You
Boy,
guys
you're
see any water?
stupid.
Nope.
We thought the Sudan about covered it. Now.
We mastered space travel but didn't understand lakes.
I'm sorry. It's a weird day. Okay. All right. And for the Crowder Bits, you're going to have to cut that. Oops. For when we cut this thing for Crowder Bits on YouTube because people have like a 4-minute attention span. Now, in a new interview, obviously.
That's hopeful. Sorry.
Jennifer Lawrence said that she has recurring nightmares about Tucker Carlson because she's such a strong woman. Now, she went on to describe the rift that has come up with her family because of politics. These are some quotes from her. She said, I just worked so hard in the last 5 years to forgive my dad and my family and try to understand. It's different. The information they are getting is different. Their life is different. I've tried to get over it, and I really can't. I can't! I'm sorry. I'm just unleashing. But I can't F with people who aren't political anymore. You live in the United States of America. You have to be political. It's too dire. Politics are killing people. I love it. I'm sorry. I'm just unleashing. So you'll be slightly more shrill and bitchy?
Yeah. And by the way, your movie Joy was not.
No.
Joyful at all.
But I would like you to be a passenger in that Mercedes.
Yes. Please hop in and don't get out.
Now, here's the thing. If you don't remember this, I mean, this is kind of weird because the website, where we have all the references available, we used to write about Jennifer Lawrence. A lot of people liked her just because she didn't seem, she's kind of fresh-faced, wasn't as much of a Hollywood elitist.
Her nudies.
Right, that as well. She, it's a crowd pleaser. She, why not, too many freckles.
I don't care.
By the way, Jennifer Lawrence, you might want to get that mole checked.
Yes. You're out in the sun too much if your booty has freckles.
Your boobs are huge.
That's what the doctor said.
So she did. I remember she said this, and I was like, did I dream this? She said she was a little Republican. This was before Donald Trump. She said, I grew up Republican. My first time voting, I voted for John McCain. I was a little Republican. She also expressed some pro-gun sentiments. I remember in Rolling Stone in 2012, where she said, I'm thinking of buying a house and a big dog and a shotgun. And she went on to talk about how she was raised with guns. Here's my point before we get into Olivia Wilde, and I think Olivia Wilde, Jordan Peterson is the perfect example of toxic femininity versus, I would argue, flawed, but a good man, a man trying to do good. We always assume that men are bad and women are inherently virtuous. That's not necessarily true, and it's not true in Hollywood either. But I think this is important to take note of this. In Hollywood, they are obsessed with constantly telling you, keep it real, right? Authentic. I really think there's an authenticity, and I need to find something authentic to identify with this character. But everyone who goes into Hollywood, think about it, no one's really from Los Angeles. That's the ongoing joke. If I may present, you may not know that, but allow me to present that to you. They're always from somewhere else. So people come from across the country. People come from across the world. I would imagine all different kinds of viewpoints. I would imagine all different kinds of personal life experiences. And they all end up being elitist, leftist bitches and assholes. Let me put it that way. How does that happen? This is an industry that sucks the life out of people. And I also wonder, this is an industry where it's the only place where a 100% divorce rate exists. It's the only place where, yes, there is not the only place, but I would sure assume NAMBLA, but a disproportionate number of pedophiles. Certainly, if we look at sex crimes in Hollywood, and you wonder, do these people all have a meeting and decide that they want it to become this way? Or do you get into this industry, do you get into that town, and you compromise your principles a little bit, and then a little bit, and then a little bit, and you're so far away that you can't even find the trail of breadcrumbs and find your way back. And so instead you go, I don't want to acknowledge the failure that my life has become. Sure, fame and money, but how many of them are miserable? Let me aim my artillery at Jordan Peterson, because he actually is authentic. Because he actually is the same guy. Everyone changes when they get in this industry. And if you want to understand the disconnect, Jennifer Lawrence and the Weinsteins of the world, or whoever it is who's watching, anyone, Paramount, take your pick, whoever's watching, we know they watch, because then they get us flagged for copyright.
Yeah, that's true.
This is why America hates you. You do not represent at all the very broad views of the United States. You are so out of touch, you don't understand that everyone has to follow lockstep in your industry. And the only question that remains is how much of it is just, I guess, sort of guilt by association, sort of by osmosis, where people become really crappy? How much of it is by design? And that's where you'll accuse people of being conspiratorial if they tend to believe the latter. I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Well, the best case scenario, really the worst case scenario used to be you'd be crapped out of the bottom of the porn industry, but you don't even have that anymore.
No.
That's terrible worst case scenario.
No, honestly, but you're right. Did your parents apologize? The problem is at one point 10 years ago, she was saying who she really was.
Right.
She was raised by good people. They obviously did a good job with her. She ended up being a movie star. She is a good actress. I'm not going to take that away from her.
Yeah.
That was authentically her at one point. Mm-hmm. Now, what she's saying is simply she thinks that's what fits in.
Right.
She thinks that's what America wants to hear.
Right.
Because they're all clueless to the fact that we're tired of it. Mm-hmm. So she believes that this is her taking a stand and going to sell tickets, even though if it doesn't have the word Marvel on it, everything seems to kind of fail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point.
And this comes from a person
or Hunger Games.
Literally shot exactly the Hunger Games franchise, which is all about elites and the dystopian world they create where kids have a death match. Mm-hmm. She's now...
And they perform for drag queens.
Well, they do that too, right?
Which is
and it's
fine,
all about
though.
opulence, and it's all about like the elites living in it. Like that's you just basically described like the Democrat Party's wet dream.
I just walked by. I haven't been in a shopping mall in a long time, and I was there because it was a restaurant that it was good for. There's a place where the kids can go, and I walked by. I don't know if it was Nordstrom's or if it was Neiman Marcus. It was one of those department stores, and I saw. I think it was Christian Dior. Natalie Portman, and then I saw Charlize Theron, both people who are self-avowed leftists, right, who have told you how to live your lives. And no doubt, this photo shoot cost millions of dollars, where they probably didn't have to go to Bermuda to shoot it, but they did. And I'm thinking, hold on a second. You want to blame business owners, who, by the way, are considered the ultra-wealthy, if you have a business that is basically grossing $500,000 a year. Right. Meanwhile, you live, and I have no problem with you making money, but you claim to be a socialist, and you claim that, well, hold on a second, I make money, but this is a necessary evil, and it's what happens in this industry. There is no requirement for you to sell what is effectively toxic perfume. You want that extra few $1 million.
Yeah.
And then you condemn the business owners and the people who are generally pretty wealthy but upper middle class throughout the rest of the country. You are multi-millionaires and you've never had to sign the front of a check. You've only signed the backs of them. That's why you're out of touch. By the way, this is a live show, Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern. We're here on YouTube. Of course, I ask you to hit the like button. That helps. Also, Rumble. Nothing would make me happier than if you all just went over to Rumble. That would be fantastic, where I'd never have to broadcast here again. And, of course, Mug Club. We're doing a full other hour today and reading. Ugh, I'm gonna touch it.
Yeah, but
That's because Dave touched it before you.
well, I sticking it up.
All right.
Where did you get that sound bite?
From What About Bob?
I sail.
That's all.
I say. Oh, it's What About Bob?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a great film. So let's get to Olivia Wilde here and Jordan Peterson. Full disclosure, Jordan Peterson is a friend of mine. I know him. He's been on the show quite a bit.
Yeah.
So obviously I'm biased.
Early on, too.
Yep. Well, actually, we had him on before. He was famous in Canada. No one in the States really knew who he was. And I was following Bill C-16, which is a speech law, basically, in Canada. And I'm really glad that he's brought awareness here in the United States. I'm super glad for all of his success. So I'm just letting you know that I do have a bias, but all references are available at louderwithcrowder.com because this is a jumping off point here. I just ask that you go with me. I don't think we could have picked a better example or a better antagonist and protagonist than awful, though hot, Olivia Wilde and Jordan Peterson. So, in an interview promoting the new movie, I have to read this clip. Don't Worry, Darling. Director Olivia Wilde, because what I really want to do is direct.
Yes. Okay. Tell more people what to do.
Yes.
I hate you.
I'm sure, and by the way, I'm sure she got that job by her qualifications.
Yes.
So,
well, yeah.
Director Olivia Wilde revealed that the antagonist was based on who she called, quote, an insane man, Jordan Peterson. So she was talking about, I guess, Chris Pine's character, and Olivia Wilde told Maggie Gyllenhaal, oh, I shudder when I see Maggie Gyllenhaal. One ugly in soul, Olivia Wilde, and one just ugly.
Well, just off-putting.
Yeah.
Well, we can say that.
Yes. So Olivia Wilde said, we base that character on this insane man, Jordan Peterson, who is this pseudo-intellectual hero to the incel community. You know the incels? So not only are the attacks wrong, and I hate it when the left uses this argument where it doesn't apply. Projection. Now, let me be clear. Projection is something that actually exists, and it's a psychology term, usually when dealing with repetitive negative behavioral patterns. But we're talking about things within the realm, certainly within the boundaries, the guardrails of normalcy. Like if someone says, hey, you're really selfish and you don't think about anybody else, and this person says it to you over and over, they might be projecting. However, the left will use it and say, why are you so opposed to pedophilia? Are you a pedophile? No, it's because I want to kill pedophiles.
Right.
Execute legally. Sorry. So in other words, or, why do you feel this way about monkeypox? Are you secretly gay? That's not projection. Projection is when you try and apply your character traits or flaws to somebody else. So,
like when I tell people, I bet you have a huge penis.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's called deluded.
Delusional.
Yeah.
Anyway, go on, Will Hung.
So she attacks Jordan Peterson as an incel representative and as an insane person and a pseudo-intellectual. Okay.
And by pseudo-intellectual, you mean an intellectual?
Yes.
Whatever. That's what
the most cited professor from University of Toronto.
Right, yeah.
This is what they try and do. They try and wipe it away. You know what I've noticed? Just as another example, I was researching like best electric cars. Mm-hmm. So you can read the reviews of best electric. And for years, right now, run a search.
Plug in California right now?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But no, for years and years. Go research this. 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019. Okay. It's almost invariably one of the Teslas. In every category.
Right.
In the sedan, it's either 1 year might be the S, 1 year it might be, the 3, and then you have the X. Guess what doesn't make the list? Not even the top 5 in the last couple of years. I think it's car. You know what, research team, you guys can bring this. We can pull it back up later. I think if you pull up like Car and Driver, U.S. World News, these are Edmunds. These are the places that usually do the roundup of reviews.
Yeah.
I was looking at it this week. And I'm reading this going, hold on a second. You're reviewing the #1 electric car, and it might be the Kia one. I have no idea. But it gets half the range, and it's not as fast And it doesn't have the track record, and it's less reliable. What they try and do is the guy they praised, Elon Musk, who they built up, once he goes off the reservation, even a little bit, this is still the guy more responsible for electric cars being in the public eye than anyone in the history of mankind. They can't give him credit. It's the same thing with Jordan Peterson. This is a man who was the most cited professor at University of Toronto, at least among them. Top 50 most cited clinical psychologists of all time.
Yeah.
They go, no, pseudo-intellectual. Wow. I disagree with them. Pseudo-intellectual. Tesla bad. You can see the crossover point. We can find that, and let's bring it up later. I go 2016, 17, 18, 19, and I don't know when it crosses over at 20 or 21, but all of a sudden, every Tesla sucks. Okay, so let's go on to this claim.
That was a reliable source at one point. That's a shame.
I know. And it's the same with Peterson. It's just what they'll try and do.
Well, of course.
With you. They'll say, he's not funny. That's what they do with Nick DiPaolo. That's what they do with Norm Macdonald. Once they found out it was conservative.
Well, the second he passed away, it was a Me Too thing, and it's like, just shut up.
Right.
Just let a man pass away who's a genius without bringing it into it. And and I've read Jordan Peterson's books. It's like he is an intellectual.
Yes.
And he has paid for it physically, mentally, spiritually, in every way possible for what he's put out there. It's like, what have you done besides receive a ton of money, Hollywood?
Yeah.
What did you put on the line?
Well, we'll get to that because it's also allegedly a shitty motion picture. So,
well, of course it is.
Let's get to the first claim.
Did you see who directed it?
The first claim here is Jordan Peterson is the champion for the incels. And that term, by the way, if you don't know, it comes from the term involuntary celibate. There's a group of people out there. And by the way,
get laid,
hit the like button. That helps with the algorithms if you're watching this right now. So Wilde describes incels like this. She says, they're basically disenfranchised, mostly white men who believe they are entitled to sex from women. And they believe that society has now robbed them, that the idea of feminism is working against nature, and that we must be put back into the correct place. Okay, a couple of things. I don't even want to get into the incel deal because she has no idea what she's talking about. That being said, I'm not a big fan. I'm a fan of celibacy, chastity, until you're in marriage, or at least even if you're not a Christian, a long-term relationship. I don't believe that whoring yourself out, if you're a man or a woman, is something that is spiritually and emotionally fulfilling long-term. So, different. There's celibacy, there's remaining chaste, and then there is incel, which is a group that she also grossly misrepresents. Here's the truth. Dr. Jordan Peterson has little sympathy, if any at all, for incels and the people who not only has he not been a champion of theirs, he's called them to the mat and asked these people, incels specifically, to look inwards to find their own problems.
That's not your problem. Your problem is why you can't find the woman you want. Yeah. And you have to assume that's your problem, because otherwise you have to assume that it's the women's problem. And really, they're all wrong and you're right. So you're a young man. Mm-hmm. And all the women are rejecting you. Who's got the problem? It's not all the women. That's a bad road to go down. If all the women are rejecting you, it's you.
Who was the first white supremacist he was talking to?
Larry Elder.
Yeah. Just want to be clear.
So, look, and by the way, this is also what they try and do is muddy the waters and say you hate women. No, hate feminism. Mm-hmm. Despise what women like Olivia Wilde stand for. And by the way, that's not the same thing as an incel. They try and throw this all under this wide umbrella, a catch-all term, so they can vilify someone like Dr. Jordan Peterson.
Right, and they say that they're entitled to sex from women, right? This group of people who feels entitled, basically claiming ownership of women, to see like, oh, that's what these people want to do. That's what people like Jordan Peterson want to do. They want to oppress women and take away all of their rights, right? Yeah. So she's just trying to throw him into this broad category without having listened to any. Like, just do a Google search. Just Google search what he's saying and say, is that true about Jordan Peterson? And you'll see.
This is also
Joe Rogan. It's not some random backwater station in Canada.
It's the person you tried to have banned from Spotify. Yeah. That guy.
It's right there for your taking. Go for it.
Why don't you read his book?
Yeah, and this also helps dispel method acting. That's complete horseshit. Sure, I understand getting into character. When people say, oh, Heath Ledger, his problem was actually driven by the Joker. He never broke character. Do you really think that he was at the craft services truck like, I'll have a ham sandwich? No, of course not. No. Olivia Wilde can't even read Jordan Peterson's book. It's inspired by this guy. Or like when people go for a ride along for 15 minutes, like, now I know exactly what it's like to be in SWAT.
No, Heath's problem was an Olsen twin with a purse full of downers.
Right. And it's the evil twin. Here's another claim that Olivia Wilde makes. And then I want to paint a broader picture. But the claim, of course, is Jordan Peterson is a pseudo-intellectual. We kind of addressed this. Here's the truth. It's plain as day. All references available at louderwithcrowder.com. I want to make sure that I read this correctly. Professor, is it Professor? How do you pronounce it?
Emeritus.
Emeritus. I thought it's okay. That's what I thought. Professor Emeritus of Psychology at the University of Toronto. Okay, we know that. He's published more than 100 scientific papers. He's one of the top 50 most cited clinical psychologists of all time, with over almost 19,000 citations. He's lectured at Harvard, at Oxford, at Cambridge, chancellor at Ralston College. Now,
good schools.
Yes. And I want to be clear, that doesn't make somebody smart.
No.
Right? You have plenty of people who've gone to maybe a Harvard, maybe an Oxford. But the catalog of work, this is someone who was respected, this is someone who was praised, this is someone who was academically trusted for decades, until he decided that he wouldn't go along with compelled speech, and you decided that he's a white supremacist. You decided to label him alt-right. That's what they did. They said white supremacist, didn't stick. They said alt-right, didn't stick.
Yeah.
And now it's incel leader, didn't stick. How about you do your research, Olivia Wilde? I know it's tough. I know that using that mouse to just click add to cart, like, it stings. Just do a little, method act. Daniel Day-Lewis the shit. So,
so was it him that made the video go viral? Oh, no, it wasn't.
Right.
It wasn't him that gave himself the fame.
Exactly. It was people who saw him and said, this is a problem. And we'll get to that. Person just arrested in Ireland, a teacher, for using the wrong pronouns. They're coming for you. Now, if you want an actual example of a pseudo-intellectual, look no further than Wilde's boy toy. Yeah, she was cheating on her husband publicly, shaming him, emasculating him. Harry Styles. Listen to him. And I would say I'm using the term loosely, Harry Styles, when I say pseudo-intellectual.
Yeah.
Because as he describes his own movie, you'll see that Chris Pine realizes, oh, this man's functionally retarded.
I think what's so amazing about the film is that it's not, I don't think the intention of the film is to be really entertaining, and I think it's a really entertaining film. I think it's, my favorite thing about the movie is like it feels like a movie. Bruh. It feels like a real go to the theater film movie that you kind of the reason why you go to watch something on the big screen. I think if you can go away and think about
we just punched in,
have something to think about afterwards. I think art, if it moves you, whether it upsets you or makes you feel happy or makes you feel powerful or makes you think, is what art's for.
What? Can't wait until his next Rock the Vote campaign.
You should look. If you look closely at Christopher Pine's neck, you can see it go from like relaxed to like,
yeah.
So relaxed and he's just not saying.
Even though he's dressed like he's about to make a gay pirate porn.
Well, yes, yeah. That is his next flick.
I'm a little disappointed because I like Chris Pine.
I do too.
But
He's
that
in
look,
great movies.
Don't
Hell
like
or
it.
High Water, great movie.
He's like Kurt Cobain in flood pants.
Yeah, he looks like what River Phoenix died in.
Yes.
He's dead?
Yeah, no, River, not Joaquin.
Yeah.
I know.
So
the wrong brother.
For his part, Jordan Peterson did respond to Wilde's criticism. He said, "Now Pine has a reputation as quite an attractive man, so it could be worse." Then he went on to say, "I also hope that Chris Pine at least does the sartorial splendor of my very formal public wardrobe justice as he pillories me in the latest bit of propaganda disseminated by the woke self-righteous bores and bullies who now dominate Hollywood and who insist on the production of such tripe." Oh, there you go. I see. Little wordy. Doc Peterson, you could probably just tighten it up.
You veered into a little Dane Cook in the middle there.
Did I? All the self-righteous bores.
There you go. Yeah.
Hollywood, Olivia Wilde, I take her, I punch her in the mouth. Ooh!
Kermit the Cook.
Doing my best.
No, you're doing better than I can.
It's great.
Now, here's another truth for the pseudo-intellectual doctor, Jordan Peterson. And he also doesn't make
doctor,
he doesn't make me call him doctor,
PhD?
too, which I like.
That's a rare thing for a doctor. 'Cause
Yeah.
you're like, it's a doctor, and you're like, shut up.
Right.
You're going to save.
Jordan Peterson, really good guy. Not always the best. I was like, do you want me to call you doctor? He's like, so long as you don't call me late for supper. Like,
oh, jeez.
But it's
may I do the joking, please?
It's 7:30. You were.
What can I say?
So here's the beauty here, and this brings us to this dynamic between Olivia Wilde and Jordan Peterson, and then I want to talk about feminism as a whole and why Olivia Wilde is making the world a worse place for you, the woman, the lady watching right now. Olivia Wilde is on a mission to destroy what you want out of life. Dr. Peterson has often described chaotic, unfaithful, histrionic women just like Olivia Wilde.
Well, it's among antisocial behavior among adolescents. It's a well-documented field. So because people look at aggressive and antisocial behavior in women and in men. And in women, it tends to take the expression of innuendo, gossip, and reputation destruction. And in men, it tends to take the form of outright physical aggression. And there's a whole literature on that. It's not a surprise to anyone. This has been known for 30 years.
So what would be an unknown unknown? This is a good one. Here, you have an intimate relationship. You've had it for 10 years. You trust your partner. So what does that mean? You know where you are, you know who you are, and you have a pretty good idea of where you're going. And then one day you find out that your partner has been cheating on you, not with one person, but with 3 people, and for the whole 10 years.
Oh, geez.
Well, hypothetically, that comes as a shock.
Hypothetically. Huh. When really he's talking about his friend, like Daryl.
Yeah. Right? Daryl, that's what he ends with.
Yeah. Hypothetically, Daryl was really upset.
But I had told
He
him
was like, whoa, man.
Told him for 9 years,
yeah.
How can you have 3 pool boys?
You don't even have a pool.
Yes.
Or like in Canada, if you're lucky, it's above ground.
Yes.
So, just for reference, during filming, Olivia Wilde cheated on her fiancé, Jason Sudeikis.
Oh.
And please note, she has 2 kids. And she was with him for 10 years. They have 2 kids together. And this comes from, I think this is from, I don't know, one of those gossip rags. I can tell you for a fact that Florence Pugh, seeing Olivia and Harry all over each other on the set did not go down as well as Olivia was still with Jason when she first hooked up with Harry. I don't know who's saying this. I'm imagining that's some...
It was an insider on the set.
Oh, it was an insider on the set.
What an awful woman.
You know what else she did? She also lied about why Shia LaBeouf was replaced, calling him combative, and LaBeouf posted text messages showing that she was lying. Now, this is just sort of, the point is, it's not he said, she said, it's she said, and he showed. And you're talking about the guy who hijacked Shia LaBeouf's live stream, that he will not divide us. He sued me. His firm sued me. It
was funny, too.
It was pretty funny. They lost in epic fashion, but the point is, there's no love lost between me and Shia LaBeouf, but I like to see the truth come out. Olivia Wilde is a lying, manipulative, selfish whore. And what do I mean by that? I mean someone who sleeps around and cheats on the people with whom she's verbally and physically signed a marital contract, and does it in a way that is so public as to emasculate her husband. Everyone was, and feminists are so quick to jump on the bandwagon. Remember when she was served divorce papers? She was at some junket?
Jason Sudeikis did it in a very fun fashion.
Yes, but everyone's like, this is really embarrassing and unprofessional. You know what's unprofessional? Cheating on your husband on a film set while he brings your children to your trailer and everyone knows it and is uncomfortable. That's how women abuse men. They don't abuse men physically because they're weaker and incapable of doing so. They abuse them through emasculation, through manipulation, through isolation, and everyone said, this is so cruel. Jason Sudeikis, I can't believe he would do this, because we have to assume that the woman is correct. And do you know who that's worse for? You. If you're an honest woman, that's not good. You don't want people automatically rushing to the defense of someone like Olivia Wilde, because it makes all women look bad. You should want due process for women the same way you want them for men. Whenever you think of a man who's falsely accused and you say believe all women, or a man who's falsely vilified, just want you to think of your dad or your brother or your favorite uncle and think of his life being destroyed because of a liar like Olivia Wilde. And by the way, her entire shitty film seems to be, and it's a gross, this is something too, feminism only works if you grossly misrepresent history. And you act as though society just treated women like property and men just beat their wives consequence-free and tried to keep them from voting and wanted them barefoot and pregnant, as though this was the norm. That's the only way that feminism works, because otherwise it's a solution in search of a problem. In the film that she created, I think we have a trailer, looks like one of those revisionist history feminist fever dreams.
All of you wives. We men, we ask a lot. We ask for strength, food at home, a house cleaned, and discretion above all else.
Oh no, you have to smoke cigarettes at home while your husband works.
Boys and their toys. At least we know they're getting work done. Welcome to the Victory Project. We're all here because we believe in the mission.
What are we doing?
Changing the world.
What are we doing?
Changing the world.
That's right.
All right, look, let me go with this here for a second. Sorry, I have a stupid thing.
I got you.
Let me hit the, what is... I have a button that lets them know that I'm pissed.
Like we need a button for that.
Yeah. I should have a button that says I'm not pissed.
There you go.
I caught it.
Yeah.
We're going for the table.
Okay, let me hit you with some statistics. And there was an interview I did with a lady named Karen Strawn, and she's fantastic on this. She's a woman. She specifically is unbelievably well read on the suffragette movement and correcting some of the lies that we believe. Some of which I believed. I didn't know before her that most women didn't want the right to vote, for example, and I didn't know why. Yeah. I think her website is ownyourshit.com. So she's just one example. But there are a lot of people out there who are women who learn that all of this vilification of men is based on some premises that aren't. So there was a lady who just died. She just committed it was assisted suicide, I believe, in Sweden. She was a lesbian feminist, and was it Nora Vincent? Something Vincent. She did a book. You can find it on ABC where it's like Black Like Me. But she's a lesbian feminist. She was, and she actually went undercover as a man for, I believe, 18 months. And she left it, and she wrote the book, and I think it should be mandatory reading for people like Olivia Wilde, and really all women if you want to better understand men. This lesbian feminist.
It's called Black Like Me?
No, it's like Black Like Me, but like being a man. She lived undercover as a man.
No, I'm curious about reading it. That's why I was wondering.
There's also a clip. Maybe we can show it later. She was being interviewed by the Asian Reporter on ABC, and she said, yeah, actually men have it. I went into this thinking that men had it easier. They don't. She didn't even just say both have it hard in different ways. She said men have it harder. She said, and I was so grateful to go back to being a woman because it felt like a privilege. This was a lesbian feminist. You have Cassie J, who went out and she did that film Red Pill. She started, just so you know, the film, and you see this time after time after time, when women actually put something on the line and try to learn what it's like to be a man, they go, oh, it's very different than I thought. Olivia Wilde has not done that statistically. It is undeniable that women, they spend the awful old days, as they show in that trailer. Women spend less time on household chores now. It's fallen by 44% since 1976. Hey, good! The evil oppression of men asking you to help clean a house, which is also yours and he likely pays for. Hey, good! You don't have to clean it. Thanks, Roomba! But here's the thing. As their household chores and duties have fallen down, because that's what oppresses women, we have study after study after study. Here's one by the American Economic Association showing that women are more unhappy than ever. Here's a quote. The lives of women in the United States have improved over the past 35 years by many objective measures, yet we show that measures of subjective well-being indicate that women's happiness has declined both absolutely, here's the thing, both absolutely and relative to men. You know what else we have now as a byproduct of feminism? Men won't get married. You have an entire generation of men who are refusing to get married. The last number I heard, I'm going by rote, I believe was 30-something%. It was nearing 40-something%. And women say, I don't care, I don't need a man, till they realize they're hitting that age where that window is closing. Biology is real, despite what Cosmo tells you. So women are doing
22.
less work at home. They're doing less work at home. They're getting more angry. They're more unhappy. Divorce rates are skyrocketing. And men don't want to marry you, also because of feminist divorce laws, by the way. Things like no fault, one of Ronald Reagan's biggest screw-ups. It's not worth the risk for men. And then women, like Olivia, I guarantee you, Olivia Wilde thinks that it's a problem with men. Maybe it's a problem that you probably, I'm assuming, blew your way to the top, but certainly blew your way out of your marriage in a public spectacle. Maybe you're an awful person. I know we're not supposed to allow that possibility because you have tits, but maybe you're just a bad human being. And I don't know anything about Jason Sudeikis. Maybe he's a bad human being as well. I don't know. Jury's still out. You definitely are. You absolutely are. And here's a big thing people don't know. There was a huge anti-suffrage movement when people talk about the good old days where women didn't want the right to vote. A majority of women didn't want the vote. Again, you can go to, we have that reference there, but Karen Strawn has some stuff on that, that if you really want to do a deep dive, here's why. When people talk about, oh, how awful the old days were and how great it is for women now, or how it's good, but we still have a long way to go. Well, do you mean a long way down the slope of happiness? Look behind you. you were happier there. Not because you were property. No, not because you were abused. You know where the term whipping post comes from? They used to whip people, right? There's a post. It was often used for men who were found to be domestic abusers.
Yeah.
It was never okay. And you know how else you got the whipping post in some instances? If they found out that you were physically abused as a man because they wanted to embarrass you. How did you let that happen? Abuse across the board is a bad thing, but this idea that it's ever been societally acceptable, it's not true. Feminism and the Olivia Wildes of the world, they're a false solution in search of a problem. And they end up creating very real problems. So the reason that a huge portion of women didn't want the right to vote doesn't make sense to us, right? You think it was a bunch of guys saying, you can't, bitch, shut up, right? That's what they thought. No, what it actually was, men who voted, they were eligible for the draft. They had to pay taxes. There was bucket duty, which is mandatory voluntary firefighter service. There are a bunch of other responsibilities that came along with voting.
Right.
Women at that point in history, not understanding that they would get all of the benefits without any of the accountability, said, ooh, we don't want to do that. I don't want to have to run into a burning building. I don't want to get a rifle in my hand and have to, and they said, no. You're going to get the vote. You're going to get the vote and you don't have to do any of that. Okay, sign me up. You need to understand the historical context. By the way, this idea that women didn't work, that's not true. It's never been true. Nurses, teachers, yes, you'll think this is offensive. Secretaries. But do you know why? It's not because that's all they were allowed to do. It's because women, when they were happier, and they were at home with their children rather than raising their kids by a nanny while cheating on their dad on a movie set, back in the day, they chose jobs that allowed them to have the flexibility and the kind of schedule that they could spend with their children, which what? Is emotionally, spiritually fulfilling, gratifying, and yes, particularly for a woman biologically, to be close with your child. That's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing, and it's the kind of beautiful thing that Olivia Wilde discards while virtue signaling. That's why they picked those jobs. Here's another example. There's a Scandinavian study where the countries with the highest gender equality, by the way, in social programs, which show less parity in STEM fields. Basically what happened is when women, I'm reading this quote here, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Let me break it down for you. When women have the choice, they often choose to stay home. They would often choose jobs that are more flexible. When women had the choice, a true choice, and here's something else that I would like to present to you, women, if you're watching. And I know, look, here's the thing too. For all the incels out there, not all women are Olivia Wilde. But they're the ones in the public spotlight. And they're the ones, right? They're drumming the beat for the rest of women across this country. Just like Jennifer Lawrence thinks she's relating to America by saying she's unleashing her fury against her Republican family. Olivia Wilde thinks that she speaks for you. Women, you need to solve this problem and let them know that they don't. You need to let them know that they do not stand or speak for you. And when we're talking about men and women and choice, I had a conversation with a friend of mine. And to be fair, she's anti-feminist, right on most issues. And she said, you know, it's the big lie. Feminists, they want you to believe that you can do all of it, right? That you can go and work and also be at home with your kids, but you can't. She said, you know, you can't. It's just not possible. Right. I agree with her. That is kind of a lie. But then she went on to say, and it just sucks that women, you know, we're the only ones who have to make this choice. Okay, let me present something to you for 1 second. That must be nice to have a choice. It sucks that women are the only one who have to make a choice between being a stay-at-home mom or wife, which, by the way, is an important job and it's not to be denigrated, or being a working woman. We can't do it all. Hey, comment below. Guys, you ever have that discussion being raised? That you have a choice? Ever have that discussion? Remember when you found out that you thought women were attractive, likely when you were watching a hypersexualized Disney film, and you realized, hey, I like women. Does anyone remember your dad or your mom saying, well, if you want to have a good wife and you want to have a family someday, you can be a working man or a stay-at-home pappy? That never came up. We were never provided with a choice. So when you say women are the only ones who have to make a choice, it must be nice to have that choice. We don't have one. We will have to work. We'll have to toil by the sweat of our brow for the rest of our lives if we want to have and I'm not saying that we shouldn't. That's the agreement that we've made. But it needs to be recognized. Because for men to go out, slay the dragon, go out, hunt the wildebeest, bring it back home, and be shit on because a woman doesn't have a choice to have it all. Well, we don't have a choice. It must be nice to have a choice. And by the way, women, the only way you ever even have that choice, let's be clear, is with a good man. With a husband who allows you. In other words, if you're a single mom, your choice is, okay, either you married a really rich guy and divorced him, or you're going to have to work and they'll be raised by a nanny. You don't have the choice of staying at home as a mom if no one's providing for you, or going, no, at that point, you have to work. Have your kids raised by a nanny. The only reason you have a choice is if you're in a relationship with a loving man who is fulfilling his complementary role as a masculine figure in your life. And that is not something to shit on. The more you do it, the more unhappy you are going to be. The statistics reflect it. The circumstances of society reflects it. And I certainly see it reflected when I look in the face of Olivia Wilde. You know what? Ugly things happen in pretty houses. She's proof positive. Hit the like button. This has been Entertainment Minute. Oh, shoot, I forgot we have this whole segment on the Irish thing. All right.
I just want to say, do you blame Olivia Wilde being able to... I mean, how do you resist Harry Styles and his charismatic speaking?
Great ass!
Come on.
The movie is like a real movie.
I think
I don't know, maybe just tell him not to talk during.
Yeah, I think you're hot girls like boobies.
I think you're hot like you're the kind of one who's someone who I'd like to have sex with, but I haven't had sex with yet, and it's something I'd like to fix.
And I did...
I like your breasts. They're not large, but they're not like small. They're proportional. They're tight. Probably won't get saggy with that big blue vein in it.
I don't like the vein.
No.
It's like a river that I wish was dried.
Like my aunt's diabetic leg.
Yeah.
He's English, right? Yeah, I didn't imagine that.
Chris Pine, though, I just wonder, does Chris Pine think he's playing Jordan Peterson? Because I don't think that was his motive.
Well, he's certainly not dressing the part.
And it's also not the time period.
Right.
Or what he does.
I have no idea.
Because I haven't heard anything about Chris Pine saying that that's the role. That's all I wanted to bring.
They don't think it's through.
But I don't think it's his. But I don't think that was his motive.
Right.
I think that she's just saying that was his motive.
Right.
That's all.
Because she wants to control men.
Motivation. Yeah.
Can you imagine if someone asked Olivia, she's an actress, and Chris Pine happened to be the director, and tell us about this character, and Chris Pine goes, I'll take it. I think what Olivia Wilde wants to say is that her character is actually driven. People are like, oh, you speak for her?
Yeah.
But they feel so comfortable doing it with the guys.
Instead, he just sits there quiet and is like, let this syndrome-y guy talk.
Yes.
I hate
empty
every
vessel.
part of this. He's just checking the boxes.
Let
on the
this
contract,
walking
like whatever
soft spot speak.
Yeah, this guy. Yeah.
Don't drop him.
He was
Don't
pushed
drop him.
in as a kid and used as an ashtray.
Yes.
I'm kind of retarded.
All right, and this brings us on. Well, we're talking about Jordan Peterson, and I think this might have been sent. He might have sent this to me, but I've read about it online because, obviously, coming from Canada, we know that speech laws exist elsewhere, and by that I mean everywhere else outside of the United States. We're the only place where freedom of speech is absolute.
Yeah.
So it does help if you comment below or hit the like button. Again, if you're watching this segment, I know it's separate from the last segment. Did you know that? Did you know that? Did you know that there is no freedom of speech, for example, in a place like Ireland? And I don't mean kind of. I mean none. Okay, so September 5th, Enoch Burke, teacher at Wilson's Hospital School in Ireland, was arrested and sent to prison. And then he was arrested for violating a court order to not teach or be present at the school. Now, I need to sort of set the stage here. The origin of that court-enforced suspension, it came from refusing to address a, quote, transitioning student and using the term they. Burke stated, "It is insanity that I will be led from this courtroom to a place of incarceration, but I will not give up my Christian beliefs." So this man was basically stripped of his ability, or is Enoch, is that a man or woman? It doesn't say. Okay.
Man, yeah.
And again, when you're just reading the name and you don't see a picture, I don't know the Irish names. When I was in Ireland, the signs were in Gaelic.
Were they?
Like this just reads like drunken scribbles.
Yeah.
Where do you think it came from?
Yeah.
That's really all it was. They're just normal letters written by alcoholics.
Right, yes, exactly. Written with one hand and the other smacking his wife.
It's the Queen's English at 2 a.m.
One's got a handful of potatoes.
Yes. Look, I'm going to write this sign, welcome to this province, and I was born on a farm and retarded. This is going to be good for us. So...
You call yourself a what? No. Sit down.
Stop changing how many are served by the country, by the state. Just writing scribbles.
I guess I'll have to hit you twice because you're a they.
Yeah. Also because I got that iron, drunken Irish jaw. So this is a person, a teacher. You have to use the terms they. And by the way, this is a transitioning student, not even fully transitioned. So let's be clear about this. Even if you don't agree with me that this pronoun business has gotten out of control, can we all acknowledge that you're going to make a mistake if someone is transitioning? I've had people on this show, people who I like, who are transgender, and I'm like, they.
Sorry.
It's so hard to do. So
you just call me Dave.
You can just call me Dave. Now, this is something that happens across the globe. And I want to get to what could happen here in the United States. There's only one thing that stands in the way of you and these speech laws coming for you and your politicians coming for you. But this is precisely the kind of law, the kind of tyranny that Jordan Peterson predicted. And this is the reason that he opposed Bill C-16, which was a bill that included compelled speech, largely pronouns. In case you've forgotten, here's a time machine.
You may or may not know I made some videos criticizing Bill C-16 and a number of the policies that surrounding it. And I think the most egregious elements of the policies are that it requires compelled speech. The Ontario Human Rights Commission explicitly states that refusing to refer to a person by their self-identified name and proper personal pronoun, which is the pronouns that I was objecting to, can be interpreted as harassment, and so that's explicitly defined in the relevant policies. So I think that's appalling, first of all, because there hasn't been a piece of legislation that requires Canadians to utter a particular form of address that has particular ideological implications before, and I think that it's a line that we shouldn't cross.
Chris Pine looks different.
He does.
Very pseudo-intellectual? That sounds very intellectual.
Yeah.
Well, pseudo.
And by the way, this isn't just an isolated incident. Here's some other examples. All references available at loudwithcrowder.com of people published simply for speech. The UK, there's a guy jailed, charged with hate speech for singing kung fu fighting at a karaoke bar.
Which is funny.
In the UK?
In the UK. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's really bad in the UK and in Canada. A lot of people don't realize. That's why I'll never perform. I'll never do a live show in the UK or in Canada. I won't go.
You just go to jail.
Oh.
Straight to it.
I will never go.
Paddy wagon.
Sorry, English fans. You got to come stateside. There was a recent trial in Finland, and they attempted to convict a Finnish MP and a bishop. Tried to convict them of hate speech for citing what? What is it? The Bible.
That document.
And so that's where you have people can be criminally charged, right? In these other countries, they can be arrested, they can be hauled off. They can't do that in the United States.
What the heavens is a bishop doing with the Bible?
It's what I don't know. We've got, look behind you. There's the slippery slope.
I know.
What's next?
Makes no sense.
What's next? Are they going to use the Old Testament to set up the New, like it's a preface to the New Testament?
What? What about Book 3?
So they can arrest you, jail you, charge you, convict you in these other countries. You can't do that in the United States. But often, like when people say, oh, social media, it's a private business, they can do whatever they want. The First Amendment only applies to government censoring your speech. What about when the government is working with Facebook, Google, Twitter, YouTube, Spotify? What about when they're working with them? Is that a private company? If they're doing the bidding of the government or the CDC? No, it isn't. The same thing here. You can't be charged and convicted criminally yet, but you can be tried by the mob. So we have examples like a Kansas teacher was suspended, not arrested, but suspended for refusing to use preferred pronouns. What do you think is going to happen with the teachers union and preferred pronouns here? Look at their donations. I believe it's 99% to Democrats.
Yeah, but by the way, we're not going to keep you from saying it. We're just going to take away your right to make a living.
Right.
So that you can provide for your family. So go ahead and say whatever you like, but there are consequences.
Well, yeah, and that's fine. Just teach whatever the kid wants. That's why they're there.
Yeah.
They're not there to learn. They're just there to tell you what to say about them.
Well, that's what we're going to get into Tom Likes on the on Mug Club.
I don't want to see what
loudwithcrowder.com/Mug Club. We have to censor this children's book. Y'all remember that, right? Y'all remember censoring the cocks and the Berenstain Bears?
Oh, yeah.
They had what?
Yeah, the bear and
Goldilocks.
Bears.
This sex hammock is just right.
That's a different bill.
This is something they're using to teach kids. We're going to read
That's
that on
not porridge.
Yes. Someone's been sleeping in my bed, and they're having an orgy now.
Oh, no.
They're still in my bed.
Yes. So we have Bill C-16 in Canada. Now the question, this is the question. Not what is the left doing? What would they do if left completely unfettered? A good example of this is when people say there are moderate Muslims. I understand that. Almost all of them live stateside. Whenever you get a group of those who are actually practicing observant Muslims, look at the laws of that country. Is there any Islamic country that you can point to where you would want to live as a woman, as a gay person, even as a straight, in these countries, straight brown male who doesn't happen to be Muslim?
Or as a moderate Muslim.
Right. Exactly.
Honestly.
Yeah. Great point. You can't name one. So the question is, what would the left do? What would the Democratic Party do if they had complete and absolute power? You can look to Canada. You can look to Australia. You can look to places like, depending on who the UK, speech laws. You can look to Ireland. So Canada, we have Bill C-16. Is there something comparable that Democrats, if they had their way, would push here in this country? Yes. For example, California Senate Bill 219. It was designed to prohibit the misgendering of trans nursing home residents.
There's so many of them.
I feel like there's so few of those people. They're too old for that, aren't they?
Well, that's...
Betsy, you want to chop off your what?
Boy,
her blood doesn't even clot properly.
No, it's
I
dangerous.
can't even...
Yeah.
I can't even...
There are other examples of this too, but the point is, if you look at state legislation,
Do they tell the Crips to not punch them?
Right.
I mean, the orderlies.
Yeah.
Just punch them in the wiener.
They're roommates.
He's
They're
not going to have it in a couple of weeks.
Dave.
That's weird.
So if you look at the left
They'll
and you
die by
look what they
suicide.
believe in, and also, by the way, we could look to examples on, for example, being suspended on Twitter for saying, hey, monkeypox is largely a disease that affects gay people. Boom, done, gone. You can look at the laws on YouTube regarding misgender. We had a video banned because a transgender person who threw a pencil case / homeless man's lunchbox that she stole, at me, I laughed because she missed. That was removed not because of the felony taking place or the victimization of the homeless man's pencil case / lunchbox, but me laughing at this man, beautiful woman, in heels and a Letterman's jacket. That's what they would get.
Gotta watch that video.
Completely unfettered. I think you have to watch it on Mug Club.
You have to, but it's freaking hilarious.
Do you want to pay for Grandpa's stay?
You might die if we lop it off. Do it anyway.
The point... Oh, good for you, Gerald. The point...
Is this a kill shelter?
It must be.
No, we just put them in a cage and make them comfortable.
Is Dr. Kevorkian offering these surgeries?
Hey, can you pull the plug? That wasn't an option.
No.
Yeah, but... So, yes?
Hey, the point is here, if you're still at this point looking for someone reasonable in Hollywood or on the far left or even in the state legislatures who have a D next to their name, it's about as elusive as foreshadowing Bigfoot.
Northern California, far from the hypodermic needles and human fecal matter of San Francisco, lies a majestic redwood forest, untouched by civilized man. It is here that people travel the world over, hoping to catch a glimpse of the elusive Sasquatch. Known by many names across the globe, Yeti, Wendigo. Here, we know him simply as Bigfoot. Why, that's a curious racket. Perhaps he got into a beehive. Maybe he got his hands on some of that methamphetamine on which the locals are so keen. Who's that dapper man? Is that General Eisenhower? No, it's Bigfoot himself. He found the Manscaped lawnmower. That's right, the lawnmower groomer from Manscaped. It features a premium 7,000 RPM motor with quiet stroke technology. It's also waterproof from the future and can take on your toughest, coarsest hair, especially where it matters most, like those sensitive, unmentionable areas. Tell me, handsome friend, you think that contraption could shave one of those San Francisco beatnik broads?
Well, it just shaved an entire Sasquatch, didn't it?
Oh, Bigfoot. That's for another day, my friend. For another day.
You should have seen the commercial that did not make air for Manscaped. By the way, you get to hear about commercials that don't make air when you go to our live shows.
Oh,
I have that whole one about Walther.
Yeah.
And the world dictator who won't be mentioned.
Right.
But Manscaped, I will tell you this. So when I had the surgery, I had to shave everything. Mm-hmm. And the light on this thing, there's a light on the it makes a huge difference. You'd be amazed. It's not flattering. Don't get me wrong. You see everything. It's raking across the surface. You're like, what do I have? Leprosy? But it's very effective. And I will say, it doesn't cut. I had to shave my chest for a while.
Yeah.
And I will say this: the one thing the only part of my body that I shave, this is going to sound weird. My pits. I use the clippers on my pits. You know why? Because I had to do it after surgery, and I realized it felt so much better. There wasn't that friction.
Really?
When I jog.
You jog, huh?
It's more comfortable. No, I don't.
I shaved him once to get this mirror dry stuff.
Yeah.
And the hair never really grew back all the same.
Good for you. Well, that's because you're clogging it with aluminum.
Probably.
By the way, you should stop rubbing a hot mocha pot under your armpit.
I don't mind. I don't care if it kills me early.
It's not
I didn't
deodorant
like the
at all.
sweat.
So you can use your discount code Crowder20. They have a bunch of products.
Yeah.
The one I really like and use is the Manscaped Lawnmower 4.0. It really works. It has a light on there. If you use the promo code Crowder20, you get 20% off. What is it? 20% off and free shipping. Manscaped.com. They're good. They have the balls, ironically, to sponsor this show. And of course, you can also shave, your face.
Bing bong.
I have a separate one. He just needs to talk through his soundboard, Casey. It's so much better than when he actually speaks.
You love me. You really love me.
He doesn't stop. All right, you know what? I have to go beat Yakuza's ass. We're gonna read things Tom likes on. Please hit the like button. That helps with the algorithm. Leave a comment. Things Tom on Mug Club. We've got another 45 minutes to go. Let's do this.